Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. Unfortunately, a little late today, so there's the market bell. This morning, I want to talk about, of course, what's going on this week. What could be a big driver of markets this week. Also talk about, of course, what Bank of England, just said about crypto. And it'll surprise you. And what else is going on in the world of crypto. So let's get started. Smash it a like, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that notification bell to get notified of all my streams. Follow me on social media. Check out CryptosRUs.com. And follow me on a brand new CryptosRUs Clips channel. Good morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome. A few minutes late. Missed the morning bell, but that's okay. I'll ring it again. Everyone loves this bell. U.S. markets looking pretty good so far. Dow up about 148. NASDAQ up about 86. Just slightly above even. So markets still digesting what's going on. Everyone's still digesting what's going on, right? Whether or not things are going to get better or worse or much, much worse. Is Powell doing the right thing? Is he a good Fed chair? Some people argue he's the worst Fed chair. People are still deciding what's going on. Well, Bitcoin is inching higher, though. Bitcoin is still 20,500, a little bit higher than last night and a little bit higher than the day before. So Bitcoin is staying strong and continue upwards, and many people are taking advantage of right now. But there's a few things I want to talk about today. Interesting enough, you see bond yields a lot. I hear a lot of people talk about U.S. bonds, 10-year bonds specifically, falling. It's above 3% already, but it fell from like 3.28 down to 3.11, which generally speaking is very good for investments like Bitcoin and tech stocks, right? And it's surprising because usually when there's a lot of fear, usually when people are very fearful about recession, people, or I should say traders or Wall Street, tends to pull their money out of everything and put it into bonds, trying to collect that juicy 3% interest, even though that 3% interest is literally 6% lower than inflation. So you're still losing 6% year over year right now. And somehow, that's how it's always been. Whenever there's fear, people rather put money into bonds. But right now, bond yields are actually receding, which means demand for bonds are actually, I don't know. I guess it makes sense. Now, if you really think about it, it makes sense. Bond yields go up when there's lack of demand, and bond yields go down when there's a tremendous amount of demand. So I guess that makes sense. Okay, I was getting confused myself. I'm like, why would it go down? Okay, no, it makes sense because that means a lot of people are actually buying bonds right now because of fear of a recession, and that is why the yields are going down. Okay, I corrected myself. I got myself through that. All right, but I did see this. Anyways, going back to my original point, people just don't know what's going to happen. Is Powell making the right decisions? Is the U.S. economy going to go into recession? I think so. Is it going to depression? Probably not. But will markets get worse? We don't know. How will this affect Bitcoin? Only time will tell right now, right? So there's just a lot of uncertainty still going on. However, we did receive some surprise. Really big, I would say really big endorsement this morning from none other than Bank of England, the deputy governor. And this is the reason why we're in crypto, right? This is the reason why we're not 100% also into Bitcoin. Take a look. Deputy governor of Bank of England, I keep wanting to say Bank of America, I'm sorry. Bank of England says that crypto crash survivors could become tomorrow's Amazons and eBays. I'm not sure why he threw eBay in there. It should be like Amazons and Apples or Amazons and Microsofts of tomorrow, okay? And literally, that's why we speculate and invest in a lot of these crypto projects out there because they are technology plays. They are Web 3.0 plays, okay? That's why they're different than Bitcoin. Although some Bitcoin maxis will argue, well, Bitcoin is those things too. But Bitcoin, in my opinion, is store value. It's going to be the greatest store value we've ever seen, and arguably already is. And even though, yes, you could build other things on top of Bitcoin utilizing like a layer 2 solution like Stacks or something like that, but there's so many other projects right now that are competing and creating different decentralized services and dApps out there that could make them one day the Amazons and I guess in this case eBay's or Microsoft's and Apple's of the future, right? This is why, even though there will be many losers, there will be many losers, but there will be a few winners. That's why we're in it. That's why we get in early, right? That's why we're speculating on what are great projects to buy and hold, right? So someone gets it. Someone definitely gets it. So I think this is very positive. This is a big endorsement in my opinion, right? But it doesn't mean that you just go all in on any shitcoin, right? You got to do your own research. You got to know what's going on with them. And also and not be 100% out of Bitcoin either. You gotta have some Bitcoin, especially during times of uncertainty, especially like what's going on right now. You definitely want to be holding Bitcoin. Anyway, so that's why I've been saying be diversified 50, 25, 25. I think it's a good rule to follow right now. But anyways, this is still very, very positive overall. All right, what else is going on? Let's see. CZ, Binance CZ. Binance made some headline news yesterday offering zero-fee Bitcoin trading on Binance.us. Okay? And because of it, Coinbase stock tanked yesterday because of it. Because Coinbase is already showing weakness, saying they're laying off 18% of workforce. And then Binance came out with that and it really made their stock tank yesterday. And Binance, I believe, is the only exchange that has not announced they're laying off people. I mean, every single project, crypto project exchange, have announced they're having layoffs, except Binance. I have not heard any layoffs from Binance, so that shows that they are on top of it. But CZ says the industry is still growing. Price fluctuations are still normal. I mean, it is normal. I've been saying that. CZ has been in the game arguably even longer than me. He if you look at his history, it's quite wild. Like early on, I forget which year he discovered Bitcoin, probably 2012, 2013. He sold off his house and he like sold off all his possessions and went all in on Bitcoin. Like, you know, even with outside of Binance, he would be close to probably a billionaire already, even outside. If he never started Binance, he would still be insanely wealthy. But that's how much he believes in Bitcoin and crypto, right? And to quote, I think this is really relevant, 20K we think is very low today, right? But, you know, in 2018, 2019, if you told people Bitcoin would be 20K in 2022, they would be very happy. And that's because in 2018, 2019, Bitcoin was still at like 3,000, 6,000. Yeah. Back in 2018, 2019, even 2020, even the beginning of 2020, we were still at 3,000. And if you told people we would be at 20,000 in a couple of years, people would be cheering. But now 20K has turned into such a sour price point because people got used to the sweet gains that we had in 2021. But it's entirely true. If you survived 2018, 2019, 2020, then you'll know that we're not all that bad right now, and what we're going through is perfectly normal. And if you've been through corrections beforehand, like the 2013, 2014, 2015, 16, you'll know that things were much worse. Much worse. But, you know, I like CZ. He's basically preaching the same thing I am. Of course, he has more incentive because he runs the largest exchange in the world. But basically, have patience, hodl, and know that price fluctuations will happen. It's a price of admission, really, and it will continue to happen, but they are normal. They are normal. All right. What else is going on? We got a new mining farm in western Colorado. Right. Look at this. All powered by solar. So despite the recent downturn, there are still a lot of companies and miners that are continuing forward. This one will be absolutely huge, and they already signed a contract with Galaxy Digital. Galaxy Digital from Mike Novogratz is so impressed that they're going to be putting some of their miners at this facility. So pretty positive overall. There's a lot of talk about, utilizing green energy for Bitcoin mining, and many people are figuring out ways to do so. So pretty positive overall. What else is there? There's a couple of different charts, of course. Here's one. Just yesterday, I talked about the weekly RSI and how it has never been as low as it is now, meaning Bitcoin has never been arguably more oversold than it is now on the weekly time frame. And this is looking at a 2-day time frame. It's the same thing. RSI is at an all-time low, and you can see it's actually within this very nice pattern. And you can see compared to the COVID crash versus now, right? Very similar. Very similar. We haven't had that recovery yet, but when we do, it'll come up. It could come up really rapidly. So Bitcoin is oversold. It's oversold. And this one shows a lot of whales. Not just whales. Okay, so this measures 3 things. People that have between 0 to 10 Bitcoins. 10 is quite a lot for more, most normal folks can accumulate 10 Bitcoin. But if you can't, congratulations. 0 to 10, then you have 10 to 10,000, and then 10,000 plus. Okay, it's a little bit hard to read, but the red, which you see, is at all-time high. That's retail folks between 0 to 10 Bitcoins, right? And then you look at the yellow, which is 10,000 plus. You're talking about the ultra mega whales, right? They were really, really high up, came down a little bit, but now it's starting to go back up again. And an interesting thing is when it formed that all-time high was only a few weeks ago. So the ultra whales have been stacking. And even the whales from 10 to 10,000 Bitcoins, right? You could see that is starting to go up. Again, they're stacking. So bottom line, a lot of whales, a lot of people are stacking and taking advantage of the situation right now, right? Because they know Bitcoin will go higher. Bitcoin will fluctuate. And arguably, during this downturn, and it's not just the crypto downturn, during this recession downturn in the U.S., and it is arguably the worst downturn we have ever seen since the 1930s, right? Despite all that, Bitcoin is still holding at 20,000 and not back down to 3,000 like a few years ago, right? So if you take all into that account, it's looking pretty good. And that is why so many are still stacking and still believing that, things will get better. And I do think they will. They will. All right. Last few things. What else? There's a big options expiration. I was trying to find a chart, but I don't actually, I didn't have time to see it. But just so you know, this Friday will be options and futures expiration. It's a big date because it's the end of the month. The last Friday of every month, you have an enormous amount of call options and put options and futures. It's a huge expiration date. And I was looking at it. This Friday, it's going to be absolutely huge. The volume, I don't see it here, but the volume on Bitcoin options is huge. So we could see some of the pressure alleviate after this Friday, right? So we'll see what happens. But sometimes we get tremendous pumps afterwards. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we get tremendous dumps afterwards. But this Friday will be a huge, huge thing to look forward to as options and futures both expire. And then lastly, University of Cincinnati adds teaching Bitcoin and crypto to its curriculum. So if you are attending University of Cincinnati in Ohio, you can learn about Bitcoin and crypto. Like at this point right now, I would say all universities should teach something about Bitcoin. And they should look at implementing, programming languages like Solidity or others that could be used, to develop dApps on top of Ethereum and other chains, right? At the very least, teach the programming languages. If you don't want to teach about financial freedom and attaining financial freedom through buying Bitcoin, I could get why university don't want to teach that, but at least teach the programming languages so that the future generations can learn how to program dApps, at the very least. And then lastly, Polygon, I did mention this already yesterday, I'll mention it again. Polygon had a pretty good pump yesterday, about 20-something%, because they introduced their new Poly IDs, which is basically doing KYC without KYCs and allows people to do things within Polygon, specifically right now for DAOs, like you could vote and stuff like that. And in the future, there's probably other things that you could do with this new Poly ID. So I think that's the reason why it went up pretty significantly yesterday. Outside of those things, that's it. There's not a whole lot going on today. Dow's up 166. What else is there? I saw a couple non-related crypto news. I'm just going to throw it out there. But you guys know I'm a big Lego fan, so I saw this. Lego is building some huge carbon neutral factory in Chesterfield County, Virginia. It's a 1.7 million square foot site. Yeah, and they're going to be producing bricks starting in 2025. So it's quite interesting. So I don't know where it is produced now. I'm assuming in Denmark because that's where they're from. But they want to basically move their brick building into the U.S. No, I take that back. It's probably produced in China. But they want to produce it in the U.S. That's pretty good. Pretty good news. Has nothing to do with crypto, but I like Lego. All right, let's do some Q&A. Let's see here. Christopher asked, what do you think about Eric Schmidt, ex-Google CEO, yes, being advisor to Chainlink? Pretty big to me. I mean, sure. He could be advisor. It doesn't mean that, he's going all in on Chainlink. But I do think Chainlink is, regardless if he's advisor for them or not, I think Chainlink is a fantastic project. It's very necessary in the crypto space. But for him to be advisor, pretty good. I didn't know that. Let's see. What else is there? Didn't Binance halt withdrawals? No. It was actually due to some kind of glitch, and it was solved really, really quickly, Rich. So, no. Don't try to associate them with Celsius. Let's see. What else is there? In my opinion, people should sell their silver for crypto. I think that's the right. I think that's, well, it depends. There's a lot of people that diversify, holding different things, holding silver and gold and Bitcoin. That's okay. If you want to, be diversified and hold on precious metals, that's okay. But if you're looking for pure growth, you look at the performance of silver, gold versus Bitcoin. It's not even close. It's not even in the same realm. AA through DCI finally became a whole coiner. Congratulations. What were your thoughts on Mutant Apes? I used to. If you can't afford a Bored Ape, then you could look at a Mutant Ape, right? And there used to be a lot of advantages. For example, getting airdrop free Ape coin, right? That was good. But recently with the other side NFTs, you still got something, but not nearly as much as people thought, right? So I don't know. I think Yuga Labs will still find ways to give more value to ape holders, but it's still a lot of. They're still very expensive. So, Jay Diddy, welcome back. Thoughts on Woo? Yeah, they're not the next Binance. No one's the next Binance. I think I heard good things. I'm not quite sure. I don't actually know anyone that uses Woo Trade. Can you show us the Lego bike in the back? I've been thinking about buying that one. This is the BMW bike. I actually didn't build that yet, obviously, because it's behind me. So I can't tell you how it is. But I saw it in the store, and it's quite huge. There's this European site, FYI, called, I think, Zavi. That's where I got that from. A lot of their Lego Technic sets you can find on Zavi for like 20% off. And you'll never see that from a Lego store. Just FYI. I don't know how they do it, but they do. Sometimes it could be even more than 20%. When does the next GDP report come out? That's a good question. I believe it's next month. So it's going to be measuring Q2, right? So obviously we have to get past Q2. So we have to get past June. So I'm assuming it's going to be end of July, something like that. But I'll have to look into that. Philocone, good job with what you do. Philocone Crypto here from Twitter. Just wanted to buy you lunch and for you to give me a shout out. Thanks and have a great day. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for lunch. And hopefully you are staying strong and hopefully you're educating your followers on Bitcoin and crypto. Let's see. What else is there? Dreadscapes. I appreciate that. No more Willy Woo. I haven't heard about Willy Woo. Did he stop posting charts? I have not heard from him for a long, long time. So I have no idea. Any news on Celsius? No news. I mean, their blog posts are so vague, I mean, there's really nothing else they could say. I wonder what happens if you actually call this number. I'm sure people have called, but I wonder if they pick up or it just hangs up. I mean, the last update was from 4 days ago, and basically they're saying, just be patient. Be patient. I mean, honestly, I think we all know what's going on, right? They're looking for money. They're desperately looking for money right now. You could see what happened with Voyager. You could see what happened with BlockFi. They both had one had for sure exposure to Three Arrows Capital. BlockFi, it's unknown, but possibly, which is why they took out a loan, right? Celsius, who knows if they had exposure to Three Arrows Capital, but they definitely had exposure to ETH and ST-ETH, the pegging. So, they're looking for liquidity right now. I don't know who's going to provide it to them. Maybe they will announce that they got $1 billion or $2 billion, injection of liquidity or loan or some kind, right? But that's the only thing that's really going to save them at this point. I don't know, I don't know what else is. And honestly, even if they get it and they open up withdrawals, is anyone going to not withdraw? Everyone, I think, will probably withdraw out of the platform, right? So I don't know what they can do, honestly. Do I DC any stocks? I've been thinking about it. I've always said once you get into crypto, stocks just look so boring because they move so slowly. But that's not the case anymore. A lot of the major tech companies have been, so oversold, arguably as much as crypto, right? So I do think getting into stocks could be a good move right now, just like crypto, right? Doesn't mean that the markets officially have found bottom. If we go deeper in recession, of course, things will sell off even more. But it's not a bad time to be DCAing also. There's a lot, like especially Tesla. I'm a big Tesla fan. I think picking them up is still a good idea. But there's many others out there that have been oversold. Even someone like Coinbase. I just don't see Coinbase going anywhere right now. They are absolutely enormous. They make millions from their fees. So as Bitcoin gets stronger, Coinbase, I do believe, will, of course, get stronger as well. So there's a lot of plays out there. Even you see like headlines like this, AMD now at a reasonable evaluation after a 50% pullback. I mean, AMD is a premier graphics maker, chip maker, right? Even they, seems like pretty good. And plus the big tech companies like Amazon, well, not so much Amazon, Microsoft and Apple, they've sold off quite a lot too. And I don't think they're going anywhere. They're only going to get stronger and bigger. So to answer your question, yeah, I'm starting to think about it more now than before. The fear and oversold on weekly RSI extremely low, but doesn't mean we can't go lower. If you had to make a life or death guess, what do you think is a bottom? I think 12 to 14K. I really don't know. I can't even guess at this point. And it's really irrelevant. I mean, but what you said is true. I mean, TA works until it doesn't. It's always like that. And history doesn't always repeat, but it tends to rhyme, but doesn't mean it has to rhyme either. So, of course, oversold levels mean that, yes, it's oversold, but it could continue to trend. But it's just like with everything else. The more oversold we get, the likelihood of it reversing starts increasing, right? But you don't know increasing from what point. But yeah, I mean, it's part of, I don't know, what do you call it? Educated, coming up with an educated thesis, I guess. I hate to say educated guessing, but I mean, that's what it is. You take all the data that you have, and we have a lot of data, you put it all together, and then you make a determination, or you decide what to do afterwards, right? Richard, do you have any advice on good used car SUV for a small elderly woman? Need to find something for my retired mom, 30 to 50K. A good used small SUV. Just go with the CRV. CRV is a great small SUV. You could definitely find them in the 30 range. They don't go to the 50 range. They top out around 40,000, 30 to 40,000. I think the new CRV is coming out though, so you might want to wait until the new CRV comes out. But even the current one is pretty darn good. And I just tested the new HRV, which is a lower price point. It tops out around 30s. That's not bad. It's much better than before. Do you think we'll hit a bull market soon, or the rest of the year will be bearish? You know what? I don't know about soon, but we could definitely see a turnaround. That's for sure. We could definitely see a turnaround. I don't know if we're going to see, let's say, 69,000 by the end of the year, but I could definitely see us turning, like from this point, honestly, I could see us going from 20 to 30,000 in like a matter of a week. Like, I really believe that Bitcoin is extremely oversold. I could see it do a 50% jump from these levels really quickly. Now, the question is, if it does, what about going from like 30 to 50, right? I think that might take longer. And for us to break something like 50 and go higher back to 69 could take even longer than that. So it really depends on how the market is this year. If we kind of just, let's say recession is confirmed, but we don't get any worse, inflation starts getting better, rate hikes are not going to be as aggressive, and we do see a lot of people, still still out and about and spending, and we don't go into like a complete economic, disaster, things could come back, and they could come back very strongly. Doesn't mean that we just go back all the way to all-time high immediately, but there is like a buildup right now. It does seem like everyone has pulled their money out, and everyone's waiting to see what happens, and everyone likes to get confirmation before buying back in. So if we do see a good recovery, there could be a tremendous amount of money flowing back in, which will accelerate things. But doesn't mean that we go back to all-time high right away. Could be another year or so. Jeff, thank you, man. Camry, I don't like Camrys. I'd much rather have a Honda Accord than Camry. Camry's small. It looks good, but it's small, and the inside isn't that great. The Accord drives so much better, and it's just much bigger, more comfortable. But you could argue Camry looks better than Accord. Let's see. DXY looks like it's about to fall off a cliff. That's true, but there's concerns about the Japanese bond market getting out of control. The people are arguing Japanese yen may collapse, and if so, the DXY will continue to be up because a good amount of the DXY is composed of the Japanese yen. So I haven't had enough time to look into that. Jay Powell's also talking, in front of a different committee today. I forget which committee, but hopefully he doesn't say anything negative. BMW 7 Series looks terrible. It does. That's why I haven't seen a new 7 Series on the road in like years. No one is buying those big sedans anymore, other than Model S. No one's buying Audi A8 or BMW 7 Series. Even the S-Class no one buys. But you just go up to a big SUV now, or you buy a Model S, So, yeah. How long do you think it'll take us to get a hold of inflation? I honestly don't know. That's a hard question to answer. I think a lot of the inflation that we're seeing right now, I think they call it headline inflation. A lot of that is due to supply chain issues, which no one can do anything about. Like, Fed Chair Powell can't do anything about supply chain issues. They can't do anything. He can't control that. He can only control demand. And core inflation, is not nearly as bad as headline inflation, which is caused by supply chain issues and oil and energy prices. But if those two things stabilize, right, then overall inflation will go down, and that'll be better. That'll be better. But there's no doubt that we had a lot of core inflation due to the massive printing that the Fed had to do over the last few years. When I say had, because Congress told him to. It's not like Powell just said, I'm just go print out that money. But, regardless, it was a lot of money, right? So inflation is a hard thing to tackle, especially now because of all these external factors. Ken asks, at what point do you say sell, sell, sell? Never, especially now. You could argue that, of course, in hindsight, you could argue, yeah, you could have sold that top at 69,000 or 60,000, right? But we're much closer to bottom now than we are to top. So selling now at this point doesn't make a whole lot of sense unless you truly don't believe. If you truly don't believe in anything you're holding, you're like, what the hell am I doing? Why am I in Bitcoin? Why am I in crypto? Why am I in anything? And I don't believe in any of this crap, right? Or you're desperate for money, or you invested more than what you could afford to lose, or you're paying high interest rates on your credit card because you use your credit card to buy crypto. Well, if those things apply to you, then maybe you should sell. But if you're an investor and you're not struggling for money, and you are focusing on the future, then this is the time to be DCAing, not the time to be selling. Philicone, why does your name sound so familiar? I don't know what it is. Your name sounds very familiar to me. But anyways, how much do you have in crypto holdings? A lot. Liquid cash ready to buy more? A lot as well. What amount will you eventually hold in crypto? Like if you're calculating my net worth, it's like 99% in crypto. Let's just put it that way. So I have a lot, and I'll continue to have a lot, and I'll continue to stack sats and DCA. So that's the best way I could put it. DCA, hodl, ignore price. Hope we keep going down so we can come in more and change our lives. I mean, that's the best way to look at it. If we do go down more, if Bitcoin goes down more, goes back to 17, or maybe it goes down to 14 or 13 or 10 or wherever it goes, right? Just more reason to stack and stack more. That's the best way to look at it. At least that's what I've learned over the years. Whenever Bitcoin goes really, 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 really low and it gets really scary, that's the time to be buying, not the time to be panic selling. And there'll be many that will try to scare you out in the market. But in the extreme, extreme fearful times, that's when it's best to be buying and DCing. Daniel, George is a partner of Elon's buyout on Twitter. No, I'm not at that level. No, I'm not at that level. It's 2022 with all the alternatives like solar and wind. Why are we still relying on oil? Because oil is still way cheaper and gives you more energy output. Like solar, I mean, to build a solar farm is very, very expensive, and you need so much land. I mean, there's many reasons. I'm not an energy expert. I can't tell you that. But there are alternatives, but most of them cost a lot more. But you could argue, nuclear is so cheap. Every country should be building a ton of nuclear plants. But nuclear power plants gets a bad, negative rep because there's fears about, nuclear waste and what if there's a Chernobyl kind of moment, right? But if you look at the countries that have the cheapest energy, they're the countries that have the most nuclear power plants. It's just really that simple. All right, guys. I think I rambled on a little bit too long today, but we had a good conversation. This is a good day. Good day. Can't complain, right? But Bitcoin right now, 20,400, holding about 20,000. Overall markets kind of holding above zero right now. I believe Jerome Powell is talking, so people are like a little fearful of what he may say. But overall, I think we know what he's going to say. He's already said it so many times. He's serious about fighting inflation, but there's only so much he can do, right? The question mark is, will he go too much at this point, trying to make up for what has happened, or not enough? Or I don't know. It's one way or another. So he's stuck between a rock and a hard place no matter what he does. But overall, we got some positive endorsements today. CZ is staying strong. Bank of England is saying buying crypto today, is a good move because tomorrow they could become the Amazons of eBay's of the world. That's pretty positive. And there's still miners that's spinning up. You got universities that's adding Bitcoin and crypto to its curriculum. So these are very positive things and why we need to stay in the game and stay focused and stay positive. All right? Smash it a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys tonight, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And then someone else is check out Adoro on Twitter. Crypto investigator advises out of CFI thoughts. I mean, that makes sense right now. Seeing what happened in Celsius is very, very advisable to take control of your crypto right now. I mean, that's good advice. So, all right, guys, take care. Have a good one. Bye-bye.